This is a Legal Resources for the Elderly Program presentation. This presentation is based on New Mexico law and is intended for informational purposes only. Because every individual's situation or problem is unique, you should always seek the advice of a qualified attorney for assistance with your individual concerns or questions. Hello, my name is Natalie. I am one of the staff attorneys at Legal Resources for the Elderly Program. And in today's video, we are going to review the Advanced Healthcare Directive form. First, a little bit about our program. Legal Resources for the Elderly Program is a joint project of New Mexico's Aging and Long-Term Services Department and the State Bar of New Mexico's State Bar Foundation. Our program offers a free statewide legal helpline for New Mexico seniors age 55 and older. Our attorneys advise on a variety of civil legal issues, including powers of attorney, estate planning, Medicaid for long-term care, and much more. Our program has no income restrictions, so we encourage you to call up our program to speak with an LREP attorney for free. In this video, we'll be reviewing the Advanced Healthcare Directive form. You can see that the form is 4 pages here at a glance. I encourage you to download our form and print it online so you can follow along with this video. It may be easier as well to read your printed version depending on the size of your screen that you're viewing this video. So taking a closer look at the Advanced Healthcare Directive form. Here on the first page you will see first that this is an optional form. So any section of this form is optional. You can complete as much or as little as you choose. Throughout this form, on the left-hand side of the page, you will see a gray box that provides written instructions. These instructions are the same as the instructions I'm providing in this video, so it serves as a good guide in case you're filling this out after you've watched the video. The first part of the Advanced Healthcare Directive is the power of attorney for healthcare. And in this section, you get to designate your agent and your successor agents. So let's take a closer look at this section. So to designate your primary agent, here where it says I, and then there's a blank line, you'll want to put your first and last name. So in this example, I'm Mary Smith, and I will print my first and last name. Below is where you will designate your primary agent, your first choice for someone to handle your healthcare decisions. So here on the line, you will put their name and phone number. In this example, I'm going to name my husband, so I'll write his name and his phone number. On the following line, I will provide his address, the city, state, and zip code. Below, you can designate successor agents or alternates who can act as your agent if your first choice is unable or unwilling to make your healthcare decisions. So in this example, I'm going to name my daughter as my first alternate agent choice, and that's because she lives close by in Los Lunas. She'll be easily able to handle our healthcare decisions. So on the line, I will write her first and last name and her phone number. Below that, I will provide her address, city, state, and zip code. Below, in the final section of page 1, if you want to name a second alternate agent, you can do so. In this example, I'm going to name my son as my second alternate agent. and that's because currently he's living in California. But we do know that when the time comes, if our first two choices are unavailable, our son is going to be able to step up and make our healthcare decisions. So here on the line, I will write his name and phone number, and below I will provide his address, city, state, and zip code. Moving on to page 2 of the Advanced Healthcare Directive form. This is a continuation of the power of attorney for healthcare decisions part of the document. As always, you can find the gray box on the side with written instructions about this particular section. Here you will see that it's a continuation of part 1, the power of attorney for healthcare. It's a continuation of that section. Finally, at the bottom of page 2, you'll see the start of the next section, your instructions for your healthcare. And as always, the gray box has additional written instructions to guide you through the form. So let's take a closer look at the remaining sections of the healthcare power of attorney. First, you'll see at section 2, under the power of attorney for healthcare, that it discusses your agent's authority. So under this section, it informs you and your agent that they are authorized to obtain and review medical records, reports, and information to make healthcare decisions for you. If you want to provide any additional instructions or limitations on your agent's authority, you would provide it here in the following blanks. In section 3, it talks about your agent's authority and when it becomes effective, when it comes into play. So if you watched our video on the Advanced Healthcare Directive, you may know that typically it goes into effect when your primary physician and one other qualified healthcare professional determines that you no longer have capacity to make your own healthcare decisions. However, in this form, if you would like to give your agent immediate authority to make your healthcare decisions, you will want to put your initials in this box, like so. And this would give your agent immediate authority to start acting on your behalf in regards to your healthcare decisions. Moving on to other parts of the power of attorney section. Under section 4, you will see that this is a durable power of attorney. And what that means is that it will persist through your incapacity. So this document is going to be valid especially when you need it the most. Under section 5, these are your agent's obligations under this Advanced Healthcare Directive, and so they must act in accordance with this document. They must act in accordance with your wishes to the extent that they're known, and overall they must act in your best interest. Finally, in section 6 of the power of attorney for healthcare, you will see that it is about the nomination of a guardian. So if for some reason a guardian needs to be appointed to you by the court, this section indicates that you would like your agent to be designated as that guardian. Moving on, at the bottom of page 2 of your Advanced Healthcare Directive form, you will see that this is part 2 of the optional 3 parts in regards to your instructions for your health care. As always, you will find the gray box on the left-hand side providing written instructions for you to follow along with. Moving on to page 3, this is where you start to address some of those instructions for your healthcare decisions. You'll see here at the top, there are instructions regarding your end-of-life decisions. Below are instructions about how to prolong your life if you so choose in regards to artificial nutrition and hydration. In section 9, you will see that your agent has an obligation to keep you free from pain. And finally, in section 10, you will see that you can make a designation in regards to organ donation, so you can choose to donate your organs or refuse. So let's take a closer look at these sections. As always, on page 3, you're going to find the gray box with written instructions for you to follow along. Taking a closer look at these individual sections, here in section 7, in regards to your end-of-life care, you can indicate if you choose to not prolong your life by putting a check in the box and initialing. If you want to prolong your life, you would put a check in this box and initial. Finally, if you don't have a strong belief one way or another, you can also let your agent decide whether or not to prolong your life or not by putting a check in the box and initialing. People often ask about what choice they should make in regards to these end-of-life decisions, and I recommend, if you have some strongly held views, that you may want to indicate your preferences on whether or not to prolong your life. However, it is okay to let your agent make that decision. Presumably at the time, they're going to have all the information they need to make that healthcare decision. Moving on to section 8. If you indicated above in your end-of-life decisions that you do not want to prolong your life, you will want to complete this section to give your agent instructions about the methods of prolonging your life, whether you want artificial nutrition or hydration. So for example, if you do not want to prolong your life, you may want to indicate that you do not want artificial nutrition by putting an X in the box and initialing below. You may also not want artificial hydration, so you can put an X in the box and initial below. Because this form is optional and you can complete any and all sections, perhaps you do not want artificial nutrition, so you'll put an X in the box and initial. But maybe you do want artificial hydration, and you can put an X in the box and initial. Moving on, more of your instructions for your healthcare. In section 9, this section talks about that you want the best medical care possible to be provided to you to keep you clean, comfortable, and free from pain or discomfort. In section 10, you can make your decision, your selection about organ donation. So if you decide that you want to have your organs donated, you can put a check here in the box and initial. You can also provide specific instructions about your organ donation on the line here below. If you do not want to donate your organs, you'll want to put a checkbox under I refuse and initial. Finally, you can elect for your agent to make this choice by putting a check in the box and initialing. Moving on to the final page of the Advanced Healthcare Directive form, you will find at the top that you have a section to express your other wishes in regards to your healthcare instructions, your instructions for healthcare. You will also find part 3 of the optional sections in your Advanced Healthcare Directive. This is the primary physician designation. Below that, you will find the signature box for you to sign this document. And finally, at the bottom of page 4, you'll find the optional sections for witnesses and to have it notarized. So let's take a closer look. First, in section 11, you will find other wishes. In this section, you can designate any other instructions to provide to your agent for your healthcare decisions. So this is a continuation of the instructions for your healthcare. You can expand if you so choose here on the lines provided. Here in part 3, you can designate your primary physician. As always, the gray box on the left-hand side will provide additional written instructions to help you complete this form. So here in section 12, you can designate your primary physician, and you can do so on the line by putting information about your doctor. I recommend putting as much information as you can provide. In section 13, you will see that a copy is as good as an original. So it's a good idea to distribute copies to family members, your agents, and your providers. In section 14, you'll see that this document can be revoked at any time. Moving on in page 4, you will find the signature box. So once you've completed your form, you can sign it, fill out your address, and below that you'll print the date that you signed the document and print your name. At the bottom of page 4 of the Advanced Healthcare Directive form, you will find that there is optional sections for witnesses and to have it notarized. So if you decide that you want people to witness you signing this document, you can have up to 2 witnesses and you can complete their information. So in this example, if we had 1 witness, we would put their name and address on the first line. They would sign and date below. It's important to note, if you decide to have this document witnessed, your witnesses cannot be the people that you have named as agents in this document. They have to be somebody else who witnesses you signing this document. Also optional is to have this form notarized. If you decide to have this form notarized, it's important to not sign it until you're in front of a notary. Once you're in front of the notary and you sign, they can complete this section. Some tips about your Advanced Healthcare Directive form. Once again, it does not need to be witnessed or notarized to be effective here in New Mexico. It is optional. We do recommend that you have this form notarized if you often travel out of state, as different states have different requirements regarding their Advanced Healthcare Directive form. Once again, it's important to note, if you are going to have this document notarized, do not sign the form until you're in front of a notary. You can complete the whole form, but do not sign it until you're in front of a notary. With your Advanced Healthcare Directive form, as long as you have capacity, you can make changes at any time. You can revoke the document. You can execute a new one. And as detailed in the form, a copy of this Advanced Directive is as good as an original. So it's a good idea to give copies to your doctors, providers, agents, and family members. As always, if you have any questions about the Advanced Healthcare Directive form, this video, or any other civil legal issue, we encourage you to call our program and speak with an attorney. You can reach us statewide, toll-free at 1-800-876-6657, or locally at 505-797-6005. Thank you for watching our video.